Part 2. The Games.
Chapter 10. Alliance. As the interview wraps up, Peeta Mellark's stunning declaration of love for Katniss Everdeen reverberates through the capital, leaving the audience in a frenzy and Katniss herself in shock. Her bewilderment is captured in vivid detail on the massive screens, amplifying the drama. Backstage, the atmosphere is tense and electric. As the tributes return to their quarters, Katniss confronts Peeta with an intense burst of anger, pushing him and causing him to fall and injure himself. The situation escalates when their mentors and stylists intervene, leading to a heated exchange about strategy and perception. Haymitch reveals that Peeta's confession was a calculated move to make Katniss more appealing to sponsors, positioning them as star-crossed lovers. The realization dawns on Katniss that Peeta's public display has granted her an edge in the deadly games, although it has also left her feeling manipulated and confused. As they prepare for the arena, the tributes share a somber, introspective moment, pondering their imminent fate. The night before the games, Katniss struggles with insomnia, her mind racing with anxiety about the trials ahead. She encounters Peeta on the rooftop, where he confesses his desire to retain his humanity amid the barbarity of the arena. This heartfelt exchange reveals the depth of Peeta's character and his internal struggle against becoming a pawn in the capital's cruel game. With dawn breaking, Katniss is escorted to the arena, her nerves steeled by Cinna's encouragement and the weight of the Mockingjay pin on her chest. As she steps onto the metal plate, the fear and anticipation reach a crescendo. The arena awaits, and with Claudius Templesmith's booming announcement, the 74th Hunger Games officially begin, plunging Katniss into a fight for survival where every move counts and the world watches with bated breath. Chapter 11. The Cave. 60 seconds. That's all Katniss has to size up her surroundings before the deadly Hunger Games begin. As she stands on her metal circle, her eyes lock on the cornucopia, teeming with life-saving supplies: food, water, weapons. The gong sounds, chaos erupts, and Katniss hesitates just long enough to lose her prime opportunity. Angrily, she snatches what she can, a plastic sheet and a loaf of bread, and makes a desperate grab for an orange backpack. In a brutal tussle, a knife ends the life of a boy from District 9, and Katniss narrowly escapes a lethal girl from District 2. She bolts into the forest, the knife now embedded in her pack, and begins her harrowing journey for survival. Haymitch's advice to find water haunts her thoughts as she treks through the woods, feeling the creeping effects of dehydration. Night falls, bringing with it the eerie silence of the forest. Katniss, high in a willow tree, battles exhaustion and thirst, chewing on pine bark to stave off hunger. Just as she drifts into an uneasy sleep, a distant fire snaps her awake. The blaze draws a pack of career tributes, and Katniss listens in horror as they ruthlessly kill the fire starter. Then she hears the voice that chills her to the core. Peeta, her supposed ally, is among them. Katniss's mind races with questions and fear. Can she trust Peeta, or has he betrayed her for survival? In the deadly arena, trust is as scarce as water, and Katniss must navigate this treacherous landscape with cunning and grit. The first day claims 11 lives, and with each cannon shot, the stakes grow higher. Katniss steels herself for the battles ahead, knowing that in the Hunger Games, every second counts, and every decision can mean life or death. Chapter 12. The Fire. Katniss clung to her precarious perch, held up only by her belt and sheer determination, listening to the bickering of the career tributes below. Peeta, her supposed ally, limped back from the campfire, bruised and bloodied. The revelation that he had joined forces with the careers to hunt her down stung more than any physical wound. Betrayal by a fellow District 12 tribute was unthinkable. Through the tension, Katniss learned vital information. The careers planned to use Peeta to find her, believing she had fallen for his romantic act. She took solace in knowing they underestimated her, but the realization that Peeta hadn't revealed her archery skills kept her wary. Was he still playing the star-crossed lover's card for the audience, or was he saving this secret for leverage? Suddenly, a cannon fired, marking the death of the girl from District 8. Peeta's chilling words echoed. She is now. The careers set off, and Katniss, muscles trembling from holding her awkward position, remained hidden until they were gone. She climbed down, her mind racing. Peeta's behavior was baffling, and she couldn't afford to trust anyone. As dawn broke, Katniss scavenged for supplies, her thirst becoming unbearable. She camouflaged her bright orange pack with charcoal, hoping to avoid detection. She moved swiftly, driven by the need for water. The capital's cameras were surely focused on her, and she had to appear strong and resourceful. Dehydration soon set in, her body weakening with every step. Desperation led her to almost eat poisonous berries, but she resisted, remembering the game maker's cruel tricks. Exhausted and nearly delirious, she cursed Haymitch for withholding water. Yet, a small voice in her head hinted he believed she was close to finding it herself. Pushing through the haze of dehydration, Katniss stumbled upon a patch of mud. Hope surged as she realized she was near water. Crawling through the muck, she found a pond adorned with lilies. She carefully purified and drank the life-saving water, slowly regaining her strength. Nightfall brought brief relief, but her respite was shattered by a sudden stampede. Katniss awoke to the sight of a blazing inferno bearing down on her. The capital's relentless pursuit had reached a new level of danger, and survival demanded every ounce of her cunning and resolve. Chapter 13. The Trackerjackers. Katniss's immediate instinct is to scramble from the tree, but she's tangled in her sleeping bag. She manages to release the buckle and falls to the ground, struggling with her gear. The world around her is aflame, with burning branches falling and animals fleeing in all directions. Trusting the instincts of the wild animals, she follows them, but they are much faster. The smoke is suffocating, and she pulls her shirt over her nose for some protection. Realizing the fire is no accident but a ploy by the game makers to drive the tributes together for the audience's entertainment, Katniss runs, her face cut by branches and her body battered. She catches fire, rips off her burning jacket, and shoves it into her sleeping bag to extinguish the flames. Her throat and lungs are burning from the smoke, and she collapses under a rock outcropping, vomiting and trembling. She allows herself a brief rest, reorders her supplies, and continues to flee, although disoriented. The game maker's fire is relentless, pushing Katniss to her limits. Fireballs begin raining down, launched from hidden devices. She dodges and weaves, barely escaping the deadly blasts. The attacks abate, but she retches from the toxic air. Exhausted and injured, Katniss finds a pool of cool water and soaks her burns, seeking relief. As she tends to her wounds, she recalls her mother's advice and experiences from the seam, where burns are common. She drinks and eats a little, but exhaustion takes over, and she dozes off by the pool. She awakens to the sound of approaching tributes and climbs a tree to evade them. The careers, including Peeta, are closing in, but they struggle with the climb. Katniss taunts them from her high perch, knowing their weight and lack of agility are her advantages. Night falls, and the careers decide to wait until morning to deal with her. Katniss, in immense pain, secures herself in the tree for the night. As she battles her injuries and fears, she notices a pair of eyes watching her from a neighboring tree. It's Rue silently pointing to something above Katniss's head, hinting at a possible lifeline. Chapter 14. The Fever. In the tense and treacherous world of the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen faces a critical challenge as she tries to survive another day. Trapped in a tree and pursued by the deadly career tributes, Katniss spots a wasp nest that could be her only hope for escape. As night falls, she recognizes the nest as belonging to Trackerjackers, the capital's genetically engineered, highly aggressive wasps with venom that induces hallucinations and can be fatal. Desperation fuels her resolve as she formulates a risky plan. Cut the branch holding the nest and drop it on the unsuspecting careers below. She begins the dangerous climb and starts sawing, her hands blistering painfully. The capital anthem provides cover, but time runs out before she can finish. As dawn breaks, Katniss prepares for the final push, steeling herself against the terrifying prospect of the Trackerjacker's stings. A surprise gift from her mentor, Haymitch, in the form of a healing ointment, revives her spirits and numbs her injuries. Rejuvenated, she climbs back up and resumes sawing the branch, just as the Trackerjackers start to stir. With a final burst of effort, Katniss severs the branch and sends the nest plummeting to the ground. Chaos erupts as the furious swarm attacks the careers. Some flee, but Glimmer and another tribute are not so lucky, succumbing to the wasp's venom. Katniss seizes the moment to retrieve Glimmer's bow and arrows, a crucial weapon for her survival. However, the potent venom of the stings takes its toll, disorienting her with horrific hallucinations. Just as the careers return, Peeta appears, urging her to run. Confused but obedient, Katniss stumbles away, the venom warping her perception of reality. Her last coherent thought before blacking out is a startling realization. Peeta Mellark once again has saved her life. Chapter 15: Alliances in the Arena. As the sun sets on a day of relentless torment and confusion, Katniss Everdeen awakens from the grips of Trackerjacker venom, her mind still haunted by terrifying hallucinations. Her body is weak, her surroundings disorienting, but a spark of determination flickers within her. With every painstaking movement, she discovers that she's not just a victim in the arena, but a hunter once more. As Katniss regains her strength, she finds solace in the simplicity of survival: a bow, a handful of arrows, and the comforting presence of a stream. Her first kill with the bow, a rabbit, reignites a flicker of hope. She makes her way to a stream, washing away the grime of the past and the pain of her wounds. Just as she begins to feel some semblance of normalcy, the sound of a twig snapping breaks the silence. Out of the shadows steps Rue, the small, nimble tribute from District 11, who has been tracking Katniss with the skill of a seasoned hunter. Their tentative alliance forms quickly, a union of necessity and mutual respect. Rue's knowledge of the woods and her ability to heal Katniss's Trackerjacker stings with leaves from the orchard bring them closer. Over a shared meal, the two girls bond, their conversation revealing the stark realities of their lives in the districts. Rue's tales of the capital's oppression and the cruel rules of District 11 paint a picture of a world far removed from Katniss's own struggles. As night falls, their alliance solidifies. Katniss, now more resolute, reveals her suspicions about Peeta's true intentions. Rue's insight into the careers camp and their apparent lack of need for the food that Katniss and Rue are fighting to find strengthens Katniss's resolve. The darkening sky becomes a canvas for their planning, and with the night's cover, Katniss tries on glasses that allow her to see in complete darkness. In this moment of revelation, a new plan forms in Katniss's mind, an offensive strategy that challenges the very essence of the Hunger Games. She and Rue, united by their shared survival instincts and a burning desire for justice, plot their next move. They will turn the tables on their oppressors, proving that even in a game designed for death, there is still room for defiance, strategy, and the unbreakable bond of trust. As the anthem plays, marking the end of the day without deaths, Katniss and Rue prepare for the battles ahead, their alliance not just a necessity, but a beacon of hope in the darkened arena. The games are far from over, and with their plan set, Katniss is ready to fight back. Not just for survival, but for a future where they might stand a chance against the capital's tyranny. Chapter 16: The Nightlock. Katniss and Rue strengthen their alliance as they bond over shared goals and mutual trust. Rue falls asleep beside Katniss, signaling her complete trust. Katniss contemplates the challenges ahead, especially the risk of both of them not surviving the games. She devises a plan to sabotage the career's supplies, knowing that their hunger could be their downfall. However, exhaustion and the comfort of Rue's presence make her defer the plan for now. The next morning, Katniss and Rue discuss the remaining tributes and their strategy. Rue shares details about the career's camp, which is near the lake, with their food stash guarded by the boy from District 3. Rue's intimate knowledge of the terrain and her resourcefulness give Katniss a solid foundation to plan their attack. They agree on a strategy and Katniss heads towards the career's camp, feeling a mix of determination and worry about Rue's safety. Katniss's journey is fraught with dangers and distractions, especially concerning Peeta's fate. She reaches a vantage point near the career's camp, observing their wounded state and the setup of their supplies, which appear to be booby-trapped. Katniss realizes that the supplies are likely mined, and the career's setup is more complex than she initially thought. Foxface's cunning approach to stealing supplies confirms this, prompting Katniss to devise a new plan. Katniss decides to use her bow to drop a burlap bag of apples, triggering an explosion that she hopes will destroy the mines and the supplies. With precise aim, she lets her arrows fly, causing the apples to spill and triggering the explosion, which blasts her backward. As the dust settles, the arena's true nature reveals itself, and the deadly game shifts in ways no one could have foreseen. Chapter 17: The Arena Ignites. The force of hitting the hard ground knocks the wind out of Katniss Everdeen. Her backpack cushions some of the impact, but her quiver miraculously spares her shoulder. and her bow remains in her grip. Explosions ripple through the ground, yet she hears nothing, her ears rendered useless by the chaos. Apples must have set off the mines, triggering a chain reaction of explosions. As debris rains down, she shields her face. The ground stops vibrating after about a minute. Katniss rolls onto her side, a small satisfaction blooming at the sight of the smoldering wreckage that was once the career's pyramid of supplies. They won't salvage anything from that mess. She knows she must flee, but standing proves difficult. Dizzy, she staggers a few steps before collapsing onto her hands and knees. Panic sets in. She must escape, but her body won't cooperate. Blood trickles from her left ear, and she fears she's gone deaf. Determined not to show weakness on the live broadcast, Katniss covers her head to conceal the blood and begins to crawl toward Rue's copse. She's in the open and vulnerable, with Cato likely hunting her down. Another explosion flattens her, and two more follow, reminding her of the last kernels popping when making popcorn with Prim. Katniss drags herself into a bushy hiding spot just as Cato and the other couriers storm onto the plain. His rage is almost comical as he tears at his hair and beats the ground, but it's directed at her. Katniss bites her nails in terror, hoping the cameras can't capture her fear. The boy from District 3 declares the mines deactivated, and the couriers scour the wreckage for anything salvageable. Cato, in a fit of rage, snaps the boy's neck, blaming him for the complete destruction. The couriers, assuming the bomber died in the explosion, move away to let the game makers retrieve the boy's body. As night falls and the anthem plays, Katniss realizes she's not safe but has a small lead. She digs out her night vision glasses, drinks water, and eats. Where is Rue? Katniss wonders, hoping her ally is safe. She considers the remaining tributes and the rising tension in the capital. The couriers hunt resumes and Katniss hunkers down, trying to rest without her sleeping bag. She shivers through the night, using leaves and pine needles for warmth. Morning comes and Katniss's right ear begins to hear again. She sees Foxface scavenging the ruins, her sly grin making Katniss wary. Tempted to reveal herself, she decides against it, suspecting betrayal. Foxface flees at a sound, prompting Katniss to move as well. She heads to the stream, refilling her water and eating raw fish. Despite the improvement in her hearing, Katniss feels off balance and vulnerable. She reaches her rendezvous point with Rue but finds no sign of her. Growing anxious, she decides to wait in a tree, passing the time by treating her wounds and daydreaming about capital food. As evening approaches, she resolves to find Rue, fearing for her safety. Katniss discovers Rue's unlit third fire and knows something went wrong. Hearing Rue's four-note tune from a mockingjay, she follows the sound, hoping to find her ally. Suddenly, Rue's scream pierces the air. Ignoring the potential trap, Katniss sprints towards the sound, shouting reassurance. In a clearing, she finds Rue trapped in a net. Rue reaches out, whispering Katniss's name, just as a spear pierces her body. Chapter 18. Rue. In a poignant and heart-wrenching chapter, Katniss Everdeen faces a devastating loss and makes a powerful declaration of defiance. The boy from District 1 falls to Katniss's arrow, but the victory is hollow as Rue, her ally and friend, lies dying from a spear wound. Amidst the chaos and the clamor of survival, Katniss cradles Rue, singing a lullaby to comfort her in her final moments. The song is a tender promise of peace, a stark contrast to the brutal reality of the arena. Katniss's song transcends the cruelty of the Hunger Games, echoing through the mockingjays, creating an eerie yet beautiful tribute to Rue. This act of humanity and rebellion is not lost on the viewers or the Capitol. Determined to honor Rue's memory, Katniss decorates her body with wildflowers, a silent protest against the Capitol's tyranny. As the chapter progresses, Katniss's grief and rage solidify her resolve to defy the Capitol. She recalls Peeta's words about resisting the Capitol's control, and begins to understand the depth of his sentiment. Her act of placing flowers on Rue's body is both a personal tribute and a message to the Capitol. The tributes are more than pawns in their games. The chapter ends with a surprising twist. An announcement from the Capitol changes the rules, allowing both tributes from the same district to win if they survive. This revelation ignites a spark of hope within Katniss, making her realize that she and Peeta could both survive. Driven by this new possibility, Katniss calls out Peeta's name, signaling the beginning of a new chapter in their fight for survival. This chapter is a poignant exploration of loss, rebellion, and the enduring human spirit in the face of insurmountable odds.